So, Paul, we'll start with your team news as always. Have you got any fresh injuries from last weekend's draw with Weymouth?
No, we're all good. Um, I think certainly what was asked by Matt in terms of Mishi has come through training fine, so he's in a position to be under consideration for the squad as well. So we kind of realistically fit and healthy, which again is great from my point of view, albeit more probably disappointed players, but I think or certainly hope that they understand where the season is poised and what's at stake. And as I've said to him, you're never quite sure what's going to happen. We can all some scenarios might be unlikely for people, for individuals, but it wouldn't be the first time that someone doesn't expect to play or be involved and he's called upon and can sometimes become a hero. So that's what we're kind of asking for the players to approach it in that manner, with a matter of weeks remaining, and hopefully maybe a little bit longer.
How tough is that decision going to be at right back then? Because Jordan Cropper's done pretty well by all accounts since coming into the team as well.
Yeah, he has, and that's been a real bonus in terms of when Ryan Sears left. I kind of said we had got a couple of lads that can play there, and we lost Ben, who was one of those. Harry obviously playing in a different position had done well, and perhaps we lose something from the team if we moved him for any length of time. So Jordan coming in and I guess getting an opportunity. It was nice that he got a couple of weeks sort of to train with us, I think it was, before getting that start, which will have helped him and ultimately helped the team. But it's been a real bonus of how well he's done, and credit to him and how he'd trained at a couple of clubs and obviously got himself in pretty good shape. No substitution for playing games, but gave himself the best chance to have been able to get through what he has done for us. And I guess that's a long-winded way of saying, yeah, it'll be a tough choice.
Yeah, but you're used to those tough choices at the minute as well with the squad, as you say, with such good competition in various places across the team.
Yeah, and we have got, while it's not quite as tight as it sometimes has been in the past when it's been Saturday, Monday, it's a little bit tighter, albeit, people might say, oh, it's only by probably 4.75 hours from a Saturday, Tuesday game. But, we are quite deep into the season now. Tomorrow, certainly we expect an extremely tough game that will be, I think, both physically and mentally challenging. And while I haven't, I can't anyway, but I haven't set it in my mind of what exactly I will do on Monday. There are a few ideas in my mind. But first and foremost, clearly, we've got to get through tomorrow and see where we're at. Do we pick up any injuries? Is there anything else that, may impact a decision for Monday? But, there is certainly a possibility that a few more players may be required or selected, I guess, over these next two games.
And is this where the importance, where you've spoken several times about players being ready, being on the toes, even if they've not been in the side, being ready to grasp that opportunity when you've got a game Friday, Monday, which definitely does feel just naturally tighter than a Saturday, Tuesday, as you said, even though there's only a few hours in it, does feel closer together. Is that where the advantage of having the bigger squad and having those players ready to go will obviously hopefully help you when you come on Monday?
I hope so. And I think, to be honest, the other bit you consider that's not immediately perhaps obvious to people is the game the following Saturday as well. Because sometimes you can get through two games and then, yes, you have a breather, but you never quite fully recover sometimes for that next one to go again. So we'll see. All I would say 100% is it's better to have the options available to myself. I've got to try and make the right decisions. Just because results go a certain way, and that can be positive or negative, doesn't mean you've still made the right decisions, but you have to make the ones that you feel are correct. And like I say, hopefully the biggest thing is trying to make sure that the squad are together, that we've all got the same goal in mind, and understand we are getting towards, certainly the back end of what is always feels like a long season. Had a couple of different challenges along the way, but still, like I said, in with a good shout of extending the season, and that's got to be the aim for everyone to make that happen.
Joel Grant left the club last week. Why do you think that didn't work out even after the injury, which he came back from?
I think maybe because of not entirely, but at times people doing well, having options. I guess I kind of got a few more options available to me at various points. Bringing, Jordan Maguire, Drew in was another one added to sort of the wider areas as well, and we all, I guess, want to look for reasons and answers. But I think when me and Joel spoke, it was very much, we've both been in football long enough and appreciate that sometimes it just doesn't quite work out. And that, to me, it feels like one of those situations. It was pleasing on my side, and I hopefully for Joel as well. We left in the right way. We shook each other's hand, wished each other the best, and I can only echo what I'd said previously about he's not being, an ounce of trouble. He was good with his teammates. He was no sulking around and, talking around corners behind people's backs. He's what everyone said he was prior to what I signed him. He's a good guy. It's just a shame it didn't work for both of us. But I think Joel still wants to play, and wish him well. Hopefully that he can do and find somewhere where he can show his ability again.
Why do you think Sean Scannell was able to work his way sort of back into your thinking and back into the matchday squad, but Joel couldn't?
It's a good question. Hard for me to answer in terms of, generally, I haven't given it too much thought in terms of direct comparison.
It was only because it always felt when those two were injured at the same time that they were they sort of came as a pair. It almost felt rightly or wrongly at the start of the season.
Yeah, I think that was maybe how I spoke at times. I'm certainly wouldn't deny that. I guess all I can say off the top of my head a little is that there must have been a time when I felt like an opportunity was there for one of them, and I guess I plumped for Sean. And not being, he hasn't had loads of chances, admittedly, but I guess when he did, he scored. It was then out of the team, played again, we won a game, and has been certainly much more involved in these last, 4 games maybe? I'll let you do your research on that one, Elliot. But that's all really. Nothing that particularly one did and the other one didn't. I guess just a feeling, or maybe playing on that right hand side. Joel's more kind of left side, I would have said, or maybe centrally. But Scan's, I think, right side, can play both. Maybe that was part of the reason.
James McEwen was left out last week as your backup goalkeeper. You went with Ollie Battersby instead. I think the natural question for some fans would be, do you think it's the last time that they might see James McEwen in a Grimsby Town shirt?
I think I'm back to that one. Who knows? Mike's, as he sort of stands, as I guess established himself as a keeper that I've gone with more often than not. Has been for some time now, I guess. In general, I think Max has done pretty well for us. And, in James' case, like I said, he had his bit of an injury, and if we're going down like as we did the other day, a long trip, bit of experience for Ollie, and Ollie's done well in training as well. So I'm not, I wouldn't say for definite that it is. We're in, again, an injury away and things change, then I have a decision to make. So, he's still with us. He's clearly got vast experience that could be called upon.
How pleased were you to see the 4 academy lads offered their first professional contracts last week?
Well, obviously, I had a big part in them getting that, but along with Neil and Callum in particular, and then myself, Chris, and Ben, in terms of looking at them and what all having an opinion, getting together, I think we were all certainly on the same page with the players. We want to try and bring his own players through. We know, and that, let's be honest, that's pretty common. But I think, there is a genuine hope and desire for us to try and bring players into the group that can then progress. And as I said, I think the club are trying at the minute to have a slightly longer thought process in terms of allowing these players to develop. In the past, certainly when I was here, did feel a little bit like a cycle where it was kind of almost a year or bust, and then we'd move on to the next lads and they'd have a year, and it's like you've got to really impress or something has to happen that then allows them to stay longer. And again, that can be typical, but I do think football's moved on somewhat. And while we haven't got a 23s team or a 21s team, we do want to try to, I think, give players a little longer in general. Each case will be individual again, to let these players get to where they can, and whether that in the end is good enough or not. Sometimes, again, that can be an opportunity that arises and they take it. We'll see, but certainly we want to try and give them that time. I've got some sympathy with it, certainly from a physical point of view. I was nowhere near ready to play first team football. If I'd have only had a year, then I would never have had the opportunity to have the career that I had, thankfully. And there's one or two that certainly would fit that category now. And others, maybe, whether it's, again, from the mental point of view, whether it's just understanding the game. Every one of these young players have their own challenges. We had one in Matty Pollock. I had him for obviously a short period, but as in he was there before, that was physically ready. I still think he's played probably a few more games than he should have done if the support and squad around him had been perhaps a bit closer to where it would have been. But clearly he's someone and got a move and gone out on loan and played games that is ready. But they are probably, few and far between.
Does having someone like Harry in the first team give people, confidence and they can physically see that pathway? Does that help as well?
I hope so. And again, I'm not patting ourselves on the back as staff, but I think there is an understanding. We will involve them. I've said before, we're on the same side. Know all the players' names. Watch the games when possible. And if we feel that they are good enough, they will get involved. Again, different times of the season or circumstances. Obviously, at the minute, it would be a massive call to say to one of those lads, and especially with the strength of the squad we've got, is, go and have a game in the first team and show me what you can do. It's perhaps not the right time. And as I said, at the minute, we're in a strong position. But different points in a season or times, depending on how your season's gone, you may well use that as an opportunity. So we'll see. But I certainly think that they know that if they we believe they're good enough, it won't be a case, oh, he's only 18 or he's 19. The opportunity can be there, but they have to earn it. That's what I would say still, is all this, although we're trying to, like I said, give them more time and opportunity to develop, it's got to be at a sufficient rate. And yes, there's always a bit of opinion in that, but they have to. We're not just going to give players, a shirt and a first team appearance without people, earning that. I'm a big believer in that. See too many players, in my opinion, at clubs nowhere near good enough, whether it's because it looks good, whether it's because of a competition that they want to give players. I think people need to earn it, and that's a message that again will certainly be passed on.
You said a minute ago about when you were at the club before, how you would get to the end of the season. It almost felt a bit like boom or bust in terms of what you did with the squad and the turnover you get. What's the difference this time around? Is it the fact the different owners, or is it the way football's developed?
No, I think ultimately the owners have to take some credit in that, because if you were, really tight on what you can work with and the challenge in front of you, then maybe these kids just don't get that chance, and we're not the right football club. But I think that's again important for other lads that are in this academy at the minute, and again that's a situation that can obviously looking at, but we want to be a club where people want to come to, because they can see a path, they can see that they're given as much opportunity, perhaps a better opportunity. A lot of these places that we, in clubs we talk to, I'm not saying it's wrong, but they don't train with the first team. They're not in and around a first team environment. They can't look over and see. They might not get called across because someone's just rolled an ankle or something like that. I think we have some real positives here, and the relationship that, kind of we have with the youth team, the youth set up, the staff, I think is a really positive one. And we are, very close. As I said, we're trying to almost get a group of players in between without it being a definitive team and set of players, but one that's we hopefully will be challenged to get into that 13 group. We'll be in the 13 group at times to help it all come together. And certainly, I think Jason and Andrew are on board in that. They want that. We I think all heard or read how passionate they are about the area and opportunities for people. We are a football club. There's no bigger opportunity than trying to be a footballer for a lot of these young people.
Absolutely. Looking at the game tomorrow, then Stockport coming up, they've been in
pretty. I was hoping we weren't going to talk about that, Elliot.
Yeah, sorry. They've been in pretty imperious form since Dave Challoner came into the club. Is this your toughest test of the season, given the form that they're in?
Yeah, that's right. You were just breaking up a bit. I got you. Yes, absolutely. Apart from perhaps when we played him in the FA Trophy. Because I don't think I've ever gone into a game with so much uncertainty. And like I say, I know that was a while ago, and maybe I should let it go, but kind of the feeling at the end of that game of it, because we still played it and we had to play it, but it didn't, like sometimes things just don't feel right and almost fair, and that was one of those occasions. So apart from that, and for different reasons this time. As you said, that the form since Dave's gone in has been nothing short of almost incredible. I've got to be honest about that and be fair, and deserves all the applause that they've, I'm sure, received and will receive. It has been almost perfect. They lost a trophy game, which they were a little bit unlucky to, missed some chances in that. Could have been a different story. And other than that, have drawn one game. It doesn't give much hope to a lot of teams, does it? However, we're the latest team that have that opportunity, and what better sort of game to have a full house. and give it a really good effort.
Do you think they'll win the league?
And whatever happens, yes, yeah, absolutely. And it wouldn't surprise me now if they get promoted again next season. They are. I kind of was thinking about it a little bit. My time in previously and just looking at the league in general, I can't really remember. And this is like hard on Wrexham because I think normally they would be promoted and win the league. I can't remember a team. They might have been. I think Crawley got a ridiculous points total. And we're clearly good and we're spending some money, but I generally can't remember a team that has recruited or a club that's recruited how it has in terms of the quality of player that was playing in leagues above, not just being like unwanted or on the fringes. He brought players in, and they still got some that were there before, and I think that's important for how the feel of it is. But I'm sure they'll keep progressing. And you said there's numerous stats I'm sure you've looked at, I've looked at. You kind of thinking, right, okay, where's that weakness? Where's that bump in the road? And like I say, certainly in the league, drawing 2-2 against Chesterfield, that's been the bump since December. So it'd be great if we can just maybe let them have a lick up prior to what I do believe will be them getting promoted.
And then obviously that all said, having a packed out home crowd, sold out Blundell Park from a home end perspective, that's obviously going to help massively on what should be a really good atmosphere and a really good game.
Yeah, look, I think I would kind of ask the question about how do I think the players will respond to a full house. Now, we might not have been too many times that's happened, but I think we've had enough big crowds. We've had a couple of certainly massive away followings. And I think we spoke before about it might not have absolutely gone the way we wanted in terms of a result. But I can't really remember a time when the team didn't at least compete and either be unlucky or put on a good performance. Certainly have spells and quite significant spells within a game where we did well. I'm hoping that we can continue that vein, and who knows? It has got a little bit of a feel of a cup game, if I'm honest. Albeit we know that points are at stake in the league, but I just want us to make sure that, or the request, I guess, from me is to make sure that we give it a go and don't come off with regret. Don't come off or don't enter the game fearful, because I think a lot of teams probably do go into playing Stockport and are almost beaten before they've started. We just spoke about all the, I guess, impressive stats and nature of their results and the run of form. And there's no point hiding away from that because, again, players will know that. They're not silly. They look at the table. They'll speak to, probably know some of their players and things like that. But embrace that and think, why not us? Why can't we be that team that can beat them and put a dent in that run? And like I said, maybe just cause a little bit of a hiccup. I'm sure the Wrexham fans and club will be supporting us tomorrow as well. But yeah, it's a big challenge. But I want to see how I generally do want to see how our players respond to the challenge. But I think in terms of it being in front of a full house and things like that, we've been through that realistically. It's not the first time it's happened or the second. We've had quite a lot of big games, and there's nothing better than playing in front of a big crowd. And naturally, both sets of fans will bounce off each other and create that atmosphere that I certainly would want to play in if I'm a player. It'll be one of the times when you stand on the side and be a bit envious of not being able to put your boots back on and get out there.